You're not wrong, but what I'm going to be looking forward to, probably even more so actually, is going to be the lurks. We didn't see a lot of them right out of our Boise squad yesterday. We did from Akron, and we're already jumping in the pistol, jumping into the action here, and we heard some nades are flying. You know, they claimed this A space dutifully with some great utility, but they've yet to breach the Vice util, which is actually positioned on A for the get-go.
Ooh, already crashing through. Viz kicking it off, holding their sight, but only for a moment. A shooter takes out a couple. Even on the rope gets shipped, so they're staking their claim to the A site, but not for long as Roman already responds.
Yeah. Dust Shadows the 3-on-3. The breach low HP here instead, playing the backline, setting up the re-entry there for their Omen, and they're starting to clear these spaces, but they have yet to dislodge the players from Tree. The double swing is good for the trade, and is all down to 1. Maper in the 1v2.
Maper, he's gonna pop the spike briefly, try to catch either. They're on low HP, so this is absolutely feasible. Flashpoint is out, they gotta deal with the arc rows. They've dealt with 1, they could deal with 2 on the shot, but it is J-Foen to lock it down. Steers them out of Tree.
Yeah, getting out by the skin of their teeth for sure. Both of those players a lick away from death. Maper putting the work, but again, that early chip damage just too much to overcome. So getting off on the right start here. We are going to have Cumberland actually with the first point here. We'll get those swapped over for you guys very, very shortly. And again, I mentioned it, the Vice, you know, on the right side, Viz opens up it very, very well, but then unfortunately just, again, the reflood falters a little bit on the retake.
Yeah, that's gonna happen. Listen, round 1, you've gotta set the stage, and I guess we're doing that on Mound right off the rip. It was a battle for Rubble initially, now it's over at the Mound, and both teams wanting that space. Shift, just wanting to get out, having to utilize that blast pack, getting caught in the Prowler, down and dusted.
Yeah, I mean, I like the eco strat. I like getting offensive with numbers on your side early at the gate, catch the opponent off guard, but you can clearly tell Cumberland was prepared for it, fought it head on, dealt with it, and even punished further towards the C side. This is interesting though, right? You expect the additional players to rotate over. You have a nice lurk developed from JP over here towards A without much sightline. Even the arc rows, right, I think was popped and didn't spot out this player thanks to the toxic screen, so you're not gonna know. But look at this, UTD exploring buddy system for the remaining 2 players. They're going all the way. They know they're not C. They know that they're going to be heading into A, but look at the sheer wall. So Cumberland's also going to know.
Yeah, they're going to have an idea of exactly where they're at, of course, with that utility expended. And, I mean, they're approaching a flawless. So this is about as close as you can get to the best start you're looking for. There's still an opportunity for you to be the best that fault line just to try and get out of there. But Woody takes care of business. And Kenrich, not much you can do with a classic unless you are the Kenrich, the ACS kill leader of their last 2 matches, going crazy with the secondary, but eventually falling.
Yeah, definitely a nice dink, but again, classic versus the better weapons at a second round buy-up, hard to overcome. Now, what I really liked, if you saw, there was that weapon exchange, funneling the Ghost over to the Raze, over to Shooter, so they could look for these kills, right? Because look at this, it is 3rd round and they already have the showstopper online. So you mentioned keeping it clean, keeping it flawless. They didn't want to have them carry a big weapon into these fights, but they wanted a little upgrade so they could collect those ult orbs, those kills, and now set them up for a really strong 3rd round bonus opportunity.
Yeah, the bonus could go crazy here for Cumberland, and they want to fight back on this A side, so we're doing a little seesaw on the map, but they've got to get through those salvos. That is 3 members of the team crashing right past it, but 2 on the other side. From outside the blue room, they're able to get the first kill, and they're going to press on from that. It's an absolute bloodbath. 3 go down for either team. Keeping things even on either side. Cumberland steering through, shooting through the tree, trying to get onto site. I'd say it was a bit even, and Cumberland have a chance to make this big bonus work.
Yeah, definitely messy here. I like them playing together here. They get the site, they get the plan, and now the players for UTD trying to group up here and do a similar feat. I mean, some weapon upgrades were collected. Cumberland utilizing that showstopper again to get the additional edge to break through that A main control. How's it gonna work?
Woody, good for 3. It could be 4 in a round like this, but Viz has passed through that first angle. They think he might still be there. They're trying to check every angle, and there's just too many to deal with for Viz as Woody puts them nearly all down.
And we've had the big discussion point, like in our planning, about fragging IGLs. Woody with the 4K to convert the bonus is huge. And I was nervous, right? The toxic screen, I mean, that's a default one, but it gave so much of that cubby control over, and it looked like UTD was comfortable, confident fighting in it. And Shift, even, I mean, when you have a showstopper you can't get out of the way of, you W key towards the opponent, and it worked out. They got 3. But again, the upgraded weapons, the coordination, too clean to convert to get a 3rd round. And they even traded the showstopper up for the Nightfall, so they have another continual plan of progression.
Well, if that first start of the round from the previous one was bloody enough for you, then get ready for this. Nearly everyone positioned towards A again, but the salvos don't come out. There's not as much of a blitz from the team. They wanted to wait for the first sound cue to try to blast them apart, but Cumberland weren't taking the bait on that one.
Yeah, it's difficult, right? Your bank is essentially shattered. You're cut off here on the side of UTD. So it's Singers, some Sheriffs. You have to play the numbers, and they did over towards A, expecting a fight to go that way. Versus, again, Cumberland. Great pivot, C execution, and Viz just has to get out of the way, avoid the storm, and wait for the retake with their squad. But Cumberland, other plans.
Oh, I don't think they expected Viz to be there, but that was great awareness for that first elimination, and they're just going to rack them up. Woody goes down, but that's about it. Cumberland take care of business, but I think they're going to have to deal with a little bit extra for this next round. I got to say, Zhobiii, I'm liking the pacing out of Cumberland right now. You saw a couple rounds ago, they crashed through A to get past those salvos, but then they were patient, understanding that the buy situation is going to be different from UTD, and so will the tempo.
Oh, for sure. There's nothing more satisfying than that Reaver headshot sound succinctly from Woody. Still heading the leaderboard 7-3 right now, but I agree with you. A pace change definitely needed as well aside of UTD, and I think it's going to come out of the form of this operator and the showstopper, this dichotomy, okay? You got to have a start defense, you know, try to crack the first blood case wide open, which might be the lurking vice that gets on the receiving end of it, and if things get out of hand, that's when you pull out the showstopper.
Well, we're pulling out the Nightfall right out the gate just to get through this A area, but I'll notice the UTD defense lurking ahead, ending up getting eliminated. Maybe Jay Fowen's going to take out another one. Oh, but Kenrich, hungry for this kill, is going to have to back out. Meanwhile, the A side has been dominated. Maper trying to hold on to whatever they can. That initial elimination actually going to make things a little bit more doable for UTD.
Yeah, they didn't know just from the first blood. They found the second as well, punishing both from stairs and from rope here. And now that sets them up quite well again. Hand off the weapon, you know, showstopper in, which is what I expect Shift to do here in this 4v3, because you gotta get the rounds rolling. And things are only getting worse with the frag from Jay Fowen.
Oh, showstopper activated, trying to clear out that space just to get the team into the site. Has to blast it away though, couldn't quite find one, and ends up producing a sound cue of their own just to get spotted. This one will be a save if they can get out of dodge. Woody getting around, at least get a spot with the HUDs, but allowing their teammate to clean up. So that's 5 in a row now for Cumberland.
And that round felt like a truly team effort, right? Jay Fowen on alert finds 2. JP finds frags on the site. The Nightfall is what was used to clear out all of A main, and we mentioned it, okay? They were running away, they were trying to save, and they were even denied that. So here we go. Roman, right? The IGL from the side of UTD now stepping in, pausing. You utilize the showstopper. You didn't find much impact, right? Rocket Fuse ran out. You cleared a corner that no one was in. And now with the Armageddon, you can't make that same mistake. This investment has to convert into rounds before Cumberland starts running away with this half.
Well, maybe as they start running away with it. I mean, listen, 5-0's pretty good here. Great start, but yeah, there's still certainly time to turn this around. And you got to talk about it as well, right? The ultimate economy for UTD hasn't been able to, like, come alive, right? That showstopper just wasn't enough. It certainly cleared space in to get the team into the site, but then what after that?
JP disrupted.
Yeah, Cumberland were a little bit too aware of that and able to stay away from it. So there has to be more value coming out of those ultimates.
Yeah, the post has just been really, really clean out of Cumberland. And I liked the operator pickup, but now it kind of, again, deters the growth of that money to kind of repair what's been happening in this 0-5. But if yesterday in the pits, I can watch a team come back from a 10-2 without an overtime, I think I can watch an 0-5 comeback for UTD right now. But it's got to start soon, or it is going to get out of hand. There's going to be an exorbitant advantage on this attack side Lotus for the side of Cumberland. So let's get into the change, the momentum shift that we need from that timeout for the Comets, and it looks like it's pretty standard for now.
Oh boy, coming out of the blue room, it is a bit good for Kenrich, immediately being traded out. I don't mind these initial picks taken. They're trying to fight for that space and get them where they can, and it goes even again. This could work out for the team, but this is typical for Cumberland. They got that space. They want to push forward immediately. That door is pressed. They've locked into trees. Could be huge from Shift.
They want the pit.
And someone's got to end up peeking that. That's the entire team of Cumberland trapped in there. Steel Garden going to take them away. Shift has to walk off this angle. Viper's Pit may be utilized as well. Now that they're in sight, going to be made a little more difficult with the Armageddon, but the shots still rain in from Cumberland. Taking out one. That's Woody Good and going to spin around towards that Cubby to take out Biz. JP just eliminates them all.
And you mentioned it, right? It's always this 3-on-3, you know, a 2v2 after they take the A main space. And Cumberland understand the sacrifices it takes and is still strong even with less pillars of support. JP, I was like, I don't know if we can see the pit because the Armageddon is just going to flush you out. So what do? They get the 3K instead. They isolate those players after that Steel Garden comes out, and it's very, very nicely wrapped up. But UTD, I did like the change we saw. If you kind of observed, they've been fighting for A main regardless, but this time they went a little bit deeper. They kind of fully committed, understanding, okay, we have to make sacrifices as well. They had the Omen try to step up to elevation. They fought through the toxic strain instead of waiting passively, reactively, but it's still not enough.
They're definitely being proactive about it, but how proactive can you be? I felt like that was a little preemptive. They didn't get there before the fault line, and the timing there just didn't work out tremendously for UTD. It was 2 that swung, though, so they're able to pick up the trade. They're also able to pick up a ton of space into C immediately, lurking around that bend. Is, though, doesn't want to give up this space too easily. Has to take out the boom bot, and is ready for more with those paint shells raining in still. Watching this angle ever so closely, but watching them go down as well. Shooters just got the shot.
That was gorgeous. The Prowler to B, fake out so you don't know if Vasu's there, so you can push Viz off that line. That would have been lethal. So all of that just facilitates a really clean site take. Instead, we're in a 2v4. You may think twice about investing Maper's Rolling Thunder. I mean, look at this. They check behind them, and JP is, in fact, there. The timing misaligns, but so will the trigger just one, maybe?
No, not like this.
Oh.
Okay, didn't know how close we were gonna get to a potential knife scenario, but hold on, Roman, that's 3, almost 4. Woody says, no, not today.
Wow, the battle of the IGLs, right? Woody again, top of the leaderboard now, 10-3, and Roman almost salvaging the first round for the University of Texas Dallas, but I mean, it's 7-0. We mentioned, okay, 5-0, a little bit out of hand. Still, you can turn it around here. But this is a round where I think I really need to see UTD. Okay, don't invest the ults. You know, maybe just accept this one. And then when you also have the Armageddon back online, because Roman out of those heroics is 3 off, that's when you can let it all loose and just rain down upon Cumberland to get that first round. Because once you get the ball rolling, it becomes so much easier.
You want to invest completely in that if you certainly can, but with 3 ultimates still online, there's a chance to do it right here. That maybe is a little too much commotion to deal with there for JP. Great shot there. On the shift on the sheriff to find that first one. Jay Bowen down though, and around behind the shooter to eliminate the rest. They kind of stood in that spawn area for a little too long. Sometimes numbers are good, but when you go down together, not so much.
Yeah, again, we love those sort of eco strategies. It's just then they kind of got stagnant. They didn't push forward, they stayed, and that was the big problem because when Cumberland's given the chance to adapt, to react, they also can showcase those chops. So keeping things pretty starkly in their control here. The 3v1 where Shooter gonna cap it off with the final kill, protect the rest of their teammates like the very low HP Woody, who also gets the Nightfall online. So they now have counters to counter the ultimates that UTD has, and that makes this an even scarier prospect.
Not to mention Roman and Shift 1 away from there.
Oh,
you like your explosive
you gotta choose
in Valorant, where you literally can't see in front of you because there's too many colors and explosions. Then get ready for this next round.
The Operator as well, back online here for Shift. Last time, only one player, that Lurk player, right? Jay Fowen was bold enough to test the Mound Waters, and now it's the entire squad rolling up. Clearly, Shift has to be good for a first blood here, right? No, the flush!
Perfect paint shells as well, so moving them completely off this angle. Unfortunately, though, Kenrich's going to go down right away, so that first blood again in favor of Cumberland. Shot not getting there. Showstopper just to maybe push them off. They'll get the trade, but that is your Operator down. Didn't necessarily find value, but the Showstopper allowed for just one numbers advantage. Right now for UTD, but it's immediately transitioned around. And if you can get onto this site, get that first elimination or the trade, you can send out the Viper's Pit. Now, is there there a good secondary for JP to hold if the Steel Garden comes out?
Shorty and a Viper Spit, that's the best combo there is. But Viz toying with the idea instead, playing around Trigger Discipline, trying around the timing to maybe catch JP off guard instead.
Oh no, they couldn't see them. It's a ring around the rosy right now.
1 HP.
Takes a shot in the dark. It eliminates JP for the first round of UTD. They're on the board.
And they're so stoic on the player cam, right? Not much celebration other than the little high fives around from the coach in the back lines. They are locked and they understand that this is just one of many, that they have a long road ahead of them. And I love how Viz, okay, did that without utilizing the Steel Garden as well, because we mentioned they needed to get some ults out on the side of CU so that it wasn't really combative in the round. They finally decided to invest them, and getting the Nightfall out, getting the pet out, those are huge pluses on the UTD agenda. And Chef, maybe even we saw that operator recovered by Viz to keep it in the defensive prowess.
I do like that. Shooter as well on the attacking side with an Outlaw, so the snipers could really move some mountains here, but it's going to be some more mountains to move if UTD want another round. Then it's going to be made a little more difficult here for UTD to do that, because the sniper hits, the shots hit. It's already 5-3 for Cumberland.
So difficult when you're getting dropped without even seeing the player on the other side, especially if you just got your first round to shut out the momentum like that. I will say those are the best two players to have fallen, right? No Showstopper, no From the Shadows. That's A-okay. The big ticket ultimates are these. And speaking of big tickets, JP, I know you're up 8-1, but you can't be whiffing shots like that. So now the team on the other side of the map has a lot of slack to pick up in the CECC. Looking good so far.
I mean, Roman's body just got demolished twice in a row. The shots from the rifle and then the showstopper. You'd think that's good for 2 kills, but Shooter might just be good for multiple. Turning this vent, and the Odin cries out. Actually good for 2. But a 2 that we're swinging from there, so it's all up to Woody. Now, can they call their own shots here? C's available. They want to find that first pick, and they've managed to do it. Immediately, the C's going to come out just to slow it down. Flashpoint out. Rolling Thunder makes it nearly impossible just to take the engagement. Wallbang does a little bit of damage. They're trying to weave in and out of these shots. Classic right click, only good for half HP. Maper holds it down.
Ooh, and there's some energy on the stage, screaming in celebration. This was the player that was getting, you know, some nice multi-kills in the early stages and some of the closer rounds for UTD. Someone finally put a pin in it to get their clutch underway as well is huge. And it shows the respect as well they have for a player like Woody at the moment as well, to invest the Rolling Thunder, to invest the Steel Garden in that 2v2 and then the 1v1. So nicely done to get the second on the board. You're also running out of rounds to invest them regardless. 2 rounds left to go. The money still, it's so close when only one person's walking away that UTD every round has these light shields. So you mentioned the, you know, the Outlaw buy, and now, I mean, not going to come into this round, but it shows, okay, why they're having a hard time snowballing rounds, but 2 in a row, good place to start.
Certainly is. I'm wondering if that judge factor happens, though, because we do have that online right now for Shift, holding this very sweet and close angle, but ever so sweet, ever so slow is Cumberland to start out this round. Definitely a different pacing, but hey, they're allowed to control the tempo if they want to.
Yep, that's the benefit of being on the attack, the benefit of a utility like this toxic screen to deny information. They've shown signs over towards the A site, and the lack of a drone spotting anybody over towards Pillar as well says, okay, we don't have a Vice lurk there. So I'm curious to see what, you know, J-Phone's going to be able to achieve on the C site, while it's the silent instead of aggressive scale-up that we've seen from Cumberland previously, where they're throwing lies left and right just to gain control of that space.
And it feels like they want to poke and prod wherever they can right now, because if you take out this baby door, then you've got options just about everywhere for your team. But they've slowly crawled up this toxic screen and been made available that A route. But J-Phone making a ton of noise, as much as you possibly can on that C side, has control of it. But now the real fight is happening here on A. Armageddon going to steer quite a few members loose into this backside, into the crosshair of Fizz, who does find one and is bouncing around the C's and the salvos beautifully, holding it down.
And that's the issue. J-Phone has such a deep lurk C that even though they lose control of the A side off that Armageddon, off a shooter following, they can still have a plan B, and it's going to be the B side. They don't have much time to pivot all the way to C. They deposit JP, but there's the judge time. You wanted Pyro, and now it falls to an advantage on the UTD side.
Not ready yet.
They've got control of this right now, but within this dark cover, Woody trying to get one, doesn't realize right behind you there's someone in that smoke alongside. J-Phone though holding on. It could be the ace clutch. And gotta make a way of isolating these fights. Low HP there for Fizz. Gets out of dodge, just barely.
Oh, in the corner.
Could make this happen to defuse. It could be stuck just for half here for Maper, trying to time
all the way.
They've got to peek this eventually. They think they faked it, but they didn't, Maper. Pros don't fake.
2 out of 3 rounds clutches, and you get the cherry on top. Celebration Sunday as well by finding the kill onto J-Foen. I mean, that round has gotta hurt if you are J-Foen, right? You do all the work, you make all the space for your team, and then you're required to clutch up with an ace to just get the round, and you fall ever so slightly short.
I gotta say, for Maper, just like, or in that round, right, having the composure, being on the ace clutch, and then saying, no, I'm going to take a breath. I'm going to hold. I don't hate the idea of the decision-making there, but clearly something happened. We saw the yelling, we saw the scream, and then we saw a very slight tech pause. So someone got a little too excited, I think, after that round, and I don't blame them. We went from UT Dallas, maybe having one of the worst approaches to this map, to now 3-8. This is like the way more winnable approach, which is what you're saying, Zhobiii. You can't count them out.
Yeah, I mean, an A4 is so winnable on an attack-sided Lotus. Yesterday was like the unorthodox, like, okay, it's defense-sided somehow in the Akron-Boise game and that fake comeback. But now we're into, you know, tried-true Valor. And we mentioned it, this composition that's being run by UTD is so hyper-aggressive with the Breach versus, you know, this Viper, this Vice. So I think they're going to be on their best side when the sides actually swap. But for now, last round, they have to get past that 8-4 half. You don't want a 9-3 curse to kick off your map 1. Your map pick as well. So getting ready here. We talked about it. Cumberland has slowed things down. They did it last round. They're doing it this round. And I love that UTD hasn't really gotten aggressive, hasn't gone exploring when none of this sound is made.
That's true. That's true. They're allowing Cumberland to play their game, saying, okay, we have a little bit of control right now. Come on into our site, and they leave the door a little too wide open. Cumberland able to push through and get those first 2. Now utility out right now, and Kenrich trying to take advantage, saying I'm the better man. And maybe with the shots they are, but the spray does not connect. Fizz, though, 2 before they fall, allowing Maper to maybe make this winnable. The Odin just couldn't strike on time, and now they have a route to C.
And I'm sorry, Fasu sacrificing Shooter there on the altar. You better be able to clutch this out, especially when both of your players are super low HP. And Maper full HP, the Odin that you mentioned, pretty stark utility as well. 1 fake out piece of flash utility over towards Waterfall, and then you reposition. But look at this, it's the high-low, it's the buddy system. They're so clean. And now, I mean, it was, but the isolated angle.
You got to think if anyone's going to do it, it is Maper, but he's still got so many angles and places to take away. Arcros is deployed. J-Foen gets a little bit of information.
Oh my gosh!
But no, the wall bang from the Odin doesn't come through. Maper this time denied.
And with that, the celebratory steel guard and the 9-3 half locked in for Cumberland. And I mean, absolute cinema requires some snacks, doesn't it, Pyro?
I think it does. I think it does. The CECC is brought to you in part by Sour Punch. Famous for those delicious, perfectly sweet and sour straws, bite shapes, gummies, and the new filled straws. Sour Punch candy delivers that perfectly balanced fruity flavor and punch of sour with their iconic mouth-watering coating. Treat your taste buds and punch up your energy anytime you need a boost with Sour Punch. Embrace the punch. For more information, visit www.sourpunch.com.
And here we go. 5 seconds to go before we're back into our second pistol round. It was 8 rounds in a row in that first half, won by Cumberland. Can we see UTD get off to a similar proper start in this half? Let us see. We talked about it, the aggressive composition, and look at that shift, getting the first blood onto their duo, onto their doppelganger Shooter is a great way to get things started.
So you talked about this comp being ready for the aggressive nature, and that Breach Tejo combination is just going to present so many challenges for Cumberland, but what he says, I don't mind it too much. Stealth drone taken down, and maybe some other players taken down with it. Whoa, close quarters action there. Shift and Roman combining the efforts to make for potentially a flawless first round. I mean, they're not afraid to get a little hot and bothered, close quartered in that site.
Yeah, that was a really nice pinch there onto the site. The remaining 2 players now rushing over JP and Fasu side by side. Just 1 angle at a time. That's all it takes to cut through this flawless round that so far UTD has set up.
Oh, Vapor. He's on another level at this point, ends up going down eventually, but you gotta think right now, for a player like Vapor, making some of those clutch performances, getting loud, getting excited, like on land, yeah, it's great that he's the kill leader, but he's also infusing the energy into his team.
Oh, I mean, you've got to, especially when it's a 9-3 comeback and a turnaround. And I mean, that was beautiful as well. You know, you realize, okay, we only got 3 rounds the first half, and then starting out with a semi-flawless round like that, it definitely is going to feel good. And it's going to get the money pumping early on. Really start buy up here. Lots of Bulldogs, because you know that you're going to have to snowball these rounds. Even Roman, you know, with the Ghost, will be able to buy a Vandal or a Phantom next round. So it's a great way to start as long as you don't falter. And look at this. They're not going to run into the gamble stack, which is 5 players strong over towards A for the side of Cumberland. But it does open the door for a pass pivot through Blue Room, which is a little scary.
Shift was hoping to maybe clear an extra angle with that bot, but again, it went right back to him. That's all right. But hey, noise has been made, so if someone was B, they definitely would have heard you. But it's timid, it's shy, it's slow from UTD. They haven't gotten too much information, but it looks like they are still steering away from that gamble stack over on that A site. You got to remember as well for Cumberland, right? They didn't invest in even an extra bit of better weaponry. I think it's 5 classics on this team. So playing the numbers, whether it's on that A site if they hit it, or of course a retake, which it eventually seems like it will be, is going to be the key. But for UTD, you gotta try and take some long-range duels. With those Bulldogs, that's gonna be the key.
And this is interesting, right? It's an eco. They might have, you know, got signs, wind of the players being over towards the A site, but their duelist is the one lurking here. Didn't entry onto the C site, they just walk right on.
Woody.
What's also interesting, I was gonna say, they challenged the Vice Wall early, and now Woody might be able to clear out Shift here, who just has the Ghost in hand.
Oh no. Oh no. Woody makes it happen. So the big flank is going to cause a little bit of pressure here for UTD, and Shooter going to do so as well. But hold on, they're cleaning up with the rifles. There's one for Viz. There's another, capitalizing on that final play to keep UTD on top.
Got shaky for a second. I mean, losing, you know, Shift, okay, they're the one with the Ghost. That's why they were the developed lurk player. But when the players started flooding in their CT off the pain shell from Shooter, I was like, okay, wait a minute. But the difficulty is you still lost a lot of those weapons, right? You only walked away with 2 Bulldogs, and you can see them figuring out, okay, what is the puzzle of this buy? Some Bucky action, some classics. There is that, they almost forced off 1 rifle, but I think they just decided to cut their losses, go to a true to life bonus, and make sure they can propel themselves in the future rounds.
I think that's fine. I think that's fine. Listen, you got your first 2 rounds. That's the most important part about making this comeback. Just make sure you're ready for the next one. And, well, for Cumberland's side, make sure you hit your shots this time around Sue, trying to maybe see if he can take a mount kill eventually, getting that one onto Kenrich. And Kenrich, we may see that pop off again. I wanted to mention the last 2 matches, the kill leader, nearly 2.0 KD, has been good so far in this round, but I'm still waiting for that pop off here. Maybe this map, maybe the next.
And I've been waiting for Fasu, the counter controller, as well, to do the same, because he had a standout performance, I'll say, in the CVAL match that Sam from the desk got, and I got to cast over in CVAL. So we'll get to see if that comes true as well. But for the time being, they're going to be under a lot of pressure, so maybe I hit the nail on the head at just the right time. Here we go.
Oh, Fasu, the paranoia's got to come out. It's
Oh!
I don't know who's coming or where they're coming. Oh, Fasu makes it happen. That's 4 on the site. They wage war right into the bloodbath.
Oh, I love myself a good caster curse. I speak it into existence. The 4K found for Fasu, and now they're up there with the kills with everybody else on their team. So making this a team effort to punch their tickets right to double digits, and now UTD trailing by 5. But we mentioned it, that was a true to life bonus. They went for the pop aggressive play, and again, that coordination between J-Phone and Fasu just too clean. But this is where it matters, the rifle round. You lose this, it's Cumberland fast track to map point. I hate to say it.
You hate to say it, but do you really hate to speak facts, Zhobiii, like you do every single day? No, I don't think so, but the Hunt gonna catch Shift there. Somebody's gotta be shooting that one, but they just don't catch it out. Now Shift kind of put in an awkward position. They know exactly where he is, but do they know where Kenrich is? Unfortunately, they do. Gonna come up big, though, for Kenrich on that lurk.
Yeah, it feels like some of the lurk plays right now out of UTD aren't as fleshed out. They aren't as cautious as the Cumberland ones were, and we clearly saw them just get punished as a result. Speaking of punishment, though, Woody as well, who maybe overstepped a little bit, also gets traded out, but now you're dealing with J-Phone and Fasu, the anchors from L, and like they rain down upon it, it's all down to Vapor yet again, who also gets traded for 4.
Oh, Okay, FSU yet again, the inevitable right now. Clearing out just about everyone. I think that's 1-4, that's 2-4. You talked about him catching up with the team. Right now he's about to go on top.
Oh, they are definitely trying to before this half is up, before this map is up. And we mentioned it, the economy broken right now for UTD makes an opportunity for Cumberland to go right to 12 if we don't see an upset. And I feel like compared to matches I saw yesterday, both like here and in the pit, we haven't seen a lot of thrifties from this matchup just yet. So maybe now is the time.
Okay, it would definitely be the time if you're looking for UT Dallas to get on another mini run to start really capsizing the good rotation that we're seeing out of Cumberland, who's doing more than staying above. That paranoia once again wreaking havoc right now for UTD. And FSU, you gotta worry about this guy right now. He's finding everybody with that utility. FSU doing more than just with the utility.
Wow.
Everyone, dig a ditch around this mound because we got more bodies to bury.
And I mean, it was a nice counter, right? The paranoia comes through mid-door, the fault line diffuses the situation so UT doesn't get punished. But then the speed in which they reposition and set up a plan to fight and engage is just so hard to avoid on the side of UTD right now. So in losing in that fashion again, when it is so responsive, it's so quick, it's so natural out of Cumberland, I do think the last time out in regulation for Dallas is warranted, especially when we mentioned, okay, that was going to be the eco, you're going to be 12 no matter what unless a thrifty comes through. Now you got to go flawless for 7 rounds just to get to overtime on your map pick.
Thinking again, right, that last Lotus map, that 13-1 that Cumberland had in this group stage, right? UT Dallas, they were under the gun of being 13-1 as well. They had put in the work on the
13-0 for a while.
Yeah, it was looking even more bleak. But, you know, they put in the work on those first 2 rounds. They lost that 3rd round of this half and just haven't been able to rebound after that. You just need 1 rebound to make this deep run. You've got that ultimate economy as well to make it happen. We talked about this comp being so explosive, so attack heavy. That's what we got to see here.
Yeah, Showstopper and that Rolling Thunder. My issue is that Cumberland's been so proactive in their face, especially after they slowed down right at the end of the last half. It's a little surprising. And I think they understand the gravity of those ultimates if they give them any space to execute onto a site, which is why they've set up an extra heavy fight over towards A. And this soul read is perfect, right? You just bodied them on C. They're not going back to C. And so look at this. It is going to be a clash possibly to decide this map, Pyro.
Kenrich's going to get around the initial altercation and hoping to find a first pick as well. But while numbers are here, they're being a little bit slow about it. Of course, the snake bite, the paint shells, the C's, it's all there to wreak havoc and make things a little bit more difficult, maybe too difficult for this team. The Showstopper finds 1, but maybe is it too little too late? That spike is down. Shift has to find it, but won't be able to with the Nightfall. And this goes down. Shift. Low HP from the decay, the Nightfall, making things oh so difficult. The Boombot gonna scout them out as well. This is too much work to handle right now. Under the gun is Shift, but maybe they can hold the caps lock, go big here against 3. It's the firing range. Paint shells going to push them out just a little bit more. They have to fight for this spike. They have to take this engagement. It's just too difficult. It's nearly impossible. Could he be delaying the inevitable? Or could he be turning this around? 2 blast packs maybe still to push them out. Every bit of utility being utilized and pushing them up with J-Foen, but knocking them right back down was Cumberland. They finally sealed the deal. I can see where you're going with that. I think Yoru, though, does present so many opportunities when it comes to the scalability of the map and just making those rotations so swift. And yeah, it's not as much of a dive, but if those TPs are in the right spot, you can make matters worse for your defense. Also, here on Ascent, this is going to be information mania. You've got the Sova and the KO as your 2 initiators there from that side. But now it is time to get into round number 1 that UTD need to win to stay in this tournament.
Starting on the attack, so again, tempo control, the name of the game. And another thing to point out, they swapped as well the KO to the Sova because the Yoru has those flashes. So gonna be full utility the entire game for Cumberland here. Nice little push out for J-Foen out of Tree here as well off of that paranoia, but you know, 0 point in response. Jet takes up the mantle and you're good to go.
J-Foen immediately going down there as Shift finds him in their crosshair. We needed that Kenrich pop-off, already getting the kill onto FSU. So you couldn't get a better start here for this team of UTD. Getting that spike down right before the shot gold arrives. Great time in there. You've got your Owl Drone. Trying to find a little extra information. Woody has to become a victim of that recon dart, staying just out of range of it. Be difficult. Players driving from heaven, but the bouncer of the recon bolt does not catch the attention of Kenridge. That crosshair stayed right on point.
Yeah, there's your player showing up in full swing.
Now.
3 kills on the pistol. I did like the delay there from Cumberland, just waiting again for that recon bolt to come back online. But again, you kind of saw this entire strategy. Kenridge was going to play contact out of a shift, who has a pop flash ready to go from Dice. Like, it was going to be so hard to fight your way back into that site. And it feels like, again, getting the ball rolling is great from the get-go, especially when you lost 8 rounds in a row on the first map. But also I think it's a credit to the side, right? They won the pistol over on attack side of Lotus almost flawlessly as well. So coming into this, I mean, second round Odin Maper, what are you thinking? That falls into the wrong hands. That is a dangerous game you are playing, my friend.
Oh, but what other game would you play here? I think Jay Fowen wants to play a little bit of a dangerous game as well. Sneaky, creepy, crawling into that dark cover to get that first kill.
All right, and that just speeds up the execution here. Don't have to worry about any util getting ripped out of your hands. The Vice util as well, the Razorvine's lane-up's doing a great job. But it's actually Shooter, great challenge. They stay alive despite not finding the kill thanks to the Tailwind. And they're just going to play this 4-on-4 retake with their team, where if you look at it, the HP on the Taeho for UTD matches the equation.
Certainly does here, and there's that Odin watching the door ever so closely. Shockbolt can watch the door as well. Well, you may want to keep your eye on it because that's the entire team of Cumberland storming through. The Odin finds 2 there, 3 total.
Oh, no.
Picks it up. It's just laying waste to those in hell, but ends up going down under themselves. Woody with the classic, and now with the Odin, but only 16 bullets. One of those will find the kill, but there's still another there in the lair. The Odin became the prominent point of round 2.
Honestly, if I was Cumberland there, like at that point you hear this spike ticking away, it's like a 2v3, and you have those players pinned in hell. Play to rob them of all of those weapons so they don't have a 3rd round bonus. Okay. You lose that Odin, it becomes catastrophic to the late round economy of UTD. So they actually did them a favor, right? They let them get the final kill, they recollected the Odin, and now they upgrade with a Phantom and a Vandal as well. This screams confidence, this screams we're winning a round 3 on top of Cumberland. I mean, look, there's 2 region shields you have to go up against. So we'll have to see if that comes true, but it's a first time B execution for UTD here, jumping into this action. And I mean, little trade skedoodle again. Shift falls really quick into the round. Yeah, and that is to the Soviet utility as well. So already finding value out of those shock bolt lineups. Good work there. They're awaiting that pop flash right out of the dark cover. FiSu does catch one. That flash that everyone's lit up, but the utility's out instead. It may not matter because Shooter's doing work from the other side. Woody checking the cubby and clearing them out. So despite the good bonus, it didn't sort out for UTD. Yeah, I was hopeful, right? The first player you find on the Cumberland side is that Killjoy, you know, that Sentinel that lurks in the depths of the B side. And I was like, okay, this should allow you to speed things up, but the crossfire between Shooter and Woody was too clean. And now UTD, again, you can see the repercussions of buying up those additional rifles. It comes with the stingers, it comes with the light shield, and it's going to make things a little bit difficult to avoid Cumberland tying us 2-2. But from there, I still think they set themselves up for a good, close, kind of latter stage of this half.
And I do wonder if we see UTD really lean on to this A side now that B was so difficult. I mean, it wasn't the best by the exact one they were looking for, but still, with that Killjoy set up on that end, and with the alarm bot as well catching anyone that wants to crawl up mid, it does make that navigation a little bit more difficult shift. Angle here. Stealth drone does remove one, but J4 is so close, ends up getting the blind, but getting out of it and nearly getting 3 from it, but has done the work. Oh, the tailwind just gets around Shooter, somehow evades disaster.
2 HP to his name as well. Now just trying to battle, not hand over this Vandal to the UTD forces that remain. The 2v4 here. Viz making some headway over towards mid as the rotation through tiles comes through with that spike being shepherded over. Drone makes some clearance here as well. Make sure that Viz hasn't, you know, crept into spawn. But all in all, I mean, I'm not really seeing much effort here from UTD. I'm guessing they're relying on Maper to find an opening kill and then they'll accelerate. If not, they might contemplate just saving these weapons.
I don't mind making all this noise either from main, but now Viz has given away their position as well. And these two just so difficult to get around. The Cubby kill comes through for JP, and well, they'll make 2 out of it as well. So way to hold your ground, JP. Knock him down.
There we go. The foretold 2-2 tied score line here for Cumberland and UTD. But this is where, again, I mentioned the money should have stabilized for UTD. So now looking at this broken buy, it's a big question mark because honestly, there haven't been enough kills, ult orbs to go around to really give you an advantage beyond that Hunter's Fury. But that also could be key to breaking this tree hold wide open. You notice they've been always good for, 1 or 2 kills there, and that's been a little bit difficult. Shift, we haven't really seen the clone action. The 0 points have been on point, no pun intended, from the KO as well for Jay Fowen. That could be the edge they need to finally break through a space.
Well, breaking through A main right now is proven to be more difficult than they'd like because
what?
Behind them is Shift. So close to Cumberland. We're taking over complete A control. They just didn't think twice about where that Yoru could be lurking from behind and making the stinger scream.
Never seen you hide in that corner. It's not even a corner for crying out loud. But Shift, Quiet was getting first blood at the first few rounds, finally breaks through. And a round like that can instill your confidence, right? And allow you to show up when your team needs it most, as now the singular duelist here in the lobby. Dimensional Drift online as well off of those kills, so I mentioned, not getting as many ults in the works could have been an issue, but what's going on?
A little bit of a flake here, a little bit of a lurk that may just catch some UTD players by surprise.
How?
Woody is about to look at 3 right in front of him. 1, 2, 3. Got on the second and the third. It looks so easy, but when all that tension rises, it's hard to get it at JP, knocking him down anyway. So the work was done, at least, to cause panic from the team, but maybe there's another flank that could turn things around.
Oh, the Outlaw, though. Full shield, I think, here, so you'll escape 1 body shot, or not. I lied, I can't count. And just like that, despite the success Shift found, despite the whipped flank from Woody that should have been good for 2, it's still going to be a Cumberland round, which is huge, right? The Dimensional Drift was even invested, and it all comes back to that Odin. JP picking it off of the corpse of Maper last round and now carrying it into a core part of the defense right now, and they are only going up from there. The operator to complement it here, it makes a dangerous defense, ironclad, stone cold for Cumberland. And UTD, again, I'm looking at these ults, really only the Armageddon in my mind, and the Hunter's Fury can break through something like that.
That's true. That's true. So we'll see if that Hunter's Fury and From the Shadows really make a difference. Decide to utilize it here. Right now, Shift coming off a great couple opening round kills on the last one, trying to deal that first blood and more damage on this one from B main. They have the control of the operator. Will be peeking through this dark cover. There's as well one in the cubby again. Jay Fowen just holding this position, making that B push look a little dangerous.
Oh, that is a huge suppress coming out because Viz got the orb, got the Steel Garden online, and with already a minute to go, it's going to delay this side take ever more. And now they're actually getting proactive. The Vice Shot was supposed to be a fake out, so they thought they were committing to B while the ruse of the A execution was going to come through. And now the players here are anchored for the side of Cumberland with full utility contest. You can see Fasu Edge kind of toying with when to utilize his paranoia. I like the clone mid fakes the split when it's all 4 coming out main, but this is where the meat grinder, the Hunter's Fury, comes out.
Oh, as soon as they decide to execute the site, the Hunter's Fury whips away Roman, but the spike will find his way down. Shooter eliminates 1 with that operator, gets sent around this angle, and just 2 for Maper makes it so difficult. Odin v Odin, you're good for 1, but after that, none. Falling or UTD. Cumberland getting that initial pick on the B main side gave all the information they needed to crowd A.
Yeah, I definitely saw the vision there. It's just, again, the proactivity out of Cumberland kind of punished some of those movements. Nice Hunter's Fury to counter the initial execution. And then honestly, some hero players from UTD, like Shift, trying to step up, take some 1v1s. That went south, like the operator pick found by Shooter. So I kind of saw wind of that, right, on the defensive side from UTD last map, and I didn't like it. Like, I'm like, just get out of dodge, you know, keep your honor, play retake with your team, and that's where you lose fights you don't need to. We talked about the potential and just waiting for the squad to roll up for the retake, and that's what I need to see out of UTD here, especially with some ults to work with, especially with Cumberland. They have some retake ults this time around.
It could come through the fake on the shrouded step. He could be anywhere, but maybe not so much after the recon dart does find one. Stalling out that execute, though, with the fragment as well as the dark cover, make it a little more difficult, but it may be made easier. Steal a garden, takes away the primary weapons, but Shooter again eliminating Shift as they just don't see this operator coming. It was a bold move there for Shooter, but it certainly paid off.
Oh, and now usually when there's a lockdown in the mix, you're ready to fight in the tree, but they just passively close the door. Now they're realizing their mistakes. They're trying to patch things up last second, and it's too late. The paranoia comes through to delay. It's get out of dodge, you get detained, and Roman has found out that they are the last stand in the 1v5 as J-Phone gets lifted up, and they only have a stinger in hand to get it done.
Roman just spray and pray, but no salvos available. You gotta pull at this point. Try to pick up the op. I can admire it. I wonder if he wanted the op just to throw it out of the
There was not going to be time for that. They just thought it was an upgrade and then realized, wait a minute, this is the operator. I wasn't going to be able to do anything with it. But nonetheless, what a round. And finally, there it is, the timeout coming out for Roman once again for the side of UTD. And I mean, I think it was, again, the forward planning needs to be there. Again, maybe you just need a breather because Shift is losing a lot of these opening duels, unfortunately. But I mean, coming into this round, I think they still have some really big ultimates to work with to, you know, stop this from being a true-to-life Cumberland turnaround before the half is up.
And the reason I mentioned that operator as well is, yeah, of course, just looking for a weapon upgrade there, but you want to take that operator away if you can. Normally, the problem about an operator is those long angles can be watched. If you peek it without a little bit of cover or taking them away off their angle, then it's going to be doomsday. But Shooter has been taking these closer engagements, these really narrow angles, removing the duelist immediately with that first blood and just making the job so difficult for UT Dallas. So maybe finding where that operator is. I mean, not even the Steel Garden could put it away that previous round. If that's not removing the op out of Shooter's hands, what will?
Yeah, Shooter definitely a shooter right now in the lobby. All in all of the analysis boiling down to that point. But again, I liked the counter there. The lockdown was good. They prepared for the fight that was to come, even if it was late from UTD into Tree. So all of that. And here we go. Cumberland on the breach of their sixth, their safe round. UTD trying to avoid that fate for the time being. Not quite sure what the money was looking like here, but with these ults, I like that they have some weapons to work with.
Certainly do. That dark cover has been present nearly every time, but they push right past it. A lot of mid congestion here. A lot of turning around, a lot of information in store right here for Cumberland. They've got
Flank
completely on lock.
I love this. They've gotten out of the way. They realize that they're going to go deathballing into A, and they said, we're going to avoid it, we're going to flank, we're going to be unexpected here. Because for some reason, time and time again, there's no Vice utility there. Like, we saw Woody almost get 3 of you. Dimensional Direct and a whiff saved the other 2. And now, I mean, look, your Sova that was going to be playing post off the Hunter's Fury found out the hard way.
Not going to happen this time around, but the Armageddon could certainly clear them away from the shadows. Gets 1 out, but the rest have to wait in trying from the main side to that. So that buys them a little bit of time. Salvos could clear Shooter off this angle, but once again, it doesn't deny their shots. Bladestorm just to clean up the job, but the rest of the team has done that for them.
Yeah, that definitely felt like the extra flair there. Again, not thinking they could, you know, reload the operator before getting a reach rated out. But all in all, the teammates delivered nonetheless. A beautiful switch up, right, coming out of the timeout for UTD. You expect them to make a change, so you get out of the way, you strong mid, and I expect if there was any util or contact B main, they also would have been ready to take that deep dive, that like flash and dash play as well into tiles. So it was a very fluid position that they were playing from, with the crux being mid of the map. So now coming to this next round, UTD, how many rounds has it been? 5 that you've had this Hunter's Fury online? And I really need to see it. Again, I think they're underestimating the power it can have. They're waiting for that opportune moment to use it in a post plant. But I want to see it, you know, force these players off the angle, get rid of some of this Killjoy utility, because right now, you really need to see go to convert, or Cumberland are going to have, again, a stark advantage at the half.
Turret can be taken down here. I mean, I'm looking at the Hunter's Fury, maybe even combined with the Dimensional Drift. Like, you do have your options to make it perfect, but when perfect doesn't come, what is the plan B? Right now, it could just be scaling mid. We haven't seen this a whole lot from UTD, but they're ready to take the challenge. But Woody, a tougher challenge than they'd like it to be, because that's 3, make it 4 to close around. Mid-door shot.
Wow. I mean, we see Shooter missed the first off shot of the game, basically. And then Woody says, sit back, get out, you're low HP, I got this. 4 kills found. I was contemplating, I'm like, why does JP have the Odin and not Woody, right? And that is why, literally name with the Vandal. And I also want to question UTD, right? You had, what, Sheriff, Stingers? Why are you fighting mid-arches like that into deep pizza? The world may never know, but they've got to figure it out here fast. Cumberland sitting at 7, UTD at 2, and now those ultimates again sitting exactly where they were because they didn't get the chance to initiate with them.
That's been the story the whole time, is they're working up to that opportunity to do it, maybe even on the post plant, but we just haven't gotten there, at least keeping the agents alive. And hey, I'll tell you what, those Stingers can surprise. Never count them out even at long range. You never know, the little 3-round burst, but yeah, Woody made it look pretty ineffective. The Odin, it's really effective at this point. Holding this angle. Shooter's not going to miss the first shot this time around. This mid becomes more of a problem for UTD. Kenrich going down as well, and it's just that Market's going to be this really tough point. The blind side doesn't really take out Shooter, so they're still going to watch this. Tailwind exposed, and they see the arm there of Shift. That gives Woody the indication to peek, and again, they're producing bloodshed in there.
That was just copy, paste, mirror, right? Woody was on the opposite side, but still finds the same impact there to shut things down, to place Maper again in the Odin head-to-head, staring down JP, spotting the gun barrel, and once again, it's JP to say, I have your weapon, and I do it better for the flawless 8th round on the side of Cumberland.
Again and again. I mean, I was going to call out UT Dallas, maybe poking and prodding a little more in mid, because after they've gotten flanked maybe twice, 3 times from that angle, it felt a little bit vulnerable. At least get some presence there in mid, but to me, the investment feels like it's too much. They have to deal with the operator watching Market. They have to deal with Woody getting every single kill that they engage on from there. It feels like there's no safe place on this map.
Yeah, I feel like the best thing from UT Dallas has been getting onto this A side. I'm not going to lie to you. They've been fairly consistent on that. It's just how they've dealt with the post play. So the fact that they've completely changed gears and are fighting mid every round is a little shaking, a little daunting for me that they may not know what to do in this moment, because you rinse and repeat and hope something sticks. But now, I mean, we finally are going to get another tree execution. J-Phone ready to handle it with the support of that Hunter's Fury, adding insult to injury with the frag grenade kill. Shift stems the bleeding. Vandal foul, but it's the operator kill of all things to close the door.
And sometimes you don't have to wait for the perfect moment to utilize that Hunter's Fury. You create the perfect moment, and that's what we've seen out of Woody so far. 15-3 in this game right now. Also nearly the most assists for this team, and well, I guess that's true to the nature of a Sova on Ascent.
Yeah, they've been definitely putting up some numbers and calling, right? The masterclass. We mentioned the shift they made up out of the timeout. That all comes down to your in-game leader to put these 9 rounds together right now for the side of Cumberland. And we are looking at that another potential for an 9-3 half here. If, once again, UTD can send the bleeding right before the half is up. But Cumberland, if they get 10-2, I'm going to be like, okay.
You know what? I want this 9-3 because if it's going to happen, I think it's going to happen with a combination of these ultimates. Dimensional Drift finally popped off, and that could present an opportunity to get your first blood on the Hunter's Fury Shift, trying to find everything they can. There's just really one found there on the side of B. So the fake, the noise, the sound produces that push through tree, but Shooter was ready for it, had it pivoted off, and manages to get 2 there in tree.
You know what? I actually really liked that play out of UTD. You realize the KO's main, you know that they've been the really strong force in tree, and that was going to be an identified weakness, but what they didn't expect was Shooter to be there, not with the operator, but with the extra vandal they stashed and spawned, thanks to the economic advantage they have right now, being 9-2. So all this to say is down to the 4v2. They get the site regardless because, again, good strategy, but is it enough?
Oh, well, the Oda goes down and Shift goes down with it. So it was a little too late for that coordination across the map. They could not get through tree with numbers, and that left little to be desired on that site. That is a 10-2 half now for Cumberland, as, well, 3 rounds away from the next round in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, again, I really like the executions that we saw out of UTD over towards the A site, but again, we mentioned like these composition shifts, and it feels like they didn't have the post plant figured out as much, and that's where they were truly hurting. When they realized, okay, we can't fix the post plant on A, we've got to change something up on the opposite side. But I mean, 10-2 is a great storyline, and again, it's making me a little hungry, isn't it?
A little bit, I think so. For the Sour Punch, of course, you got it right here. CC is brought to you in part by Sour Punch, famous for those delicious, perfectly sweet and sour straws, bites, shapes, gummies, and the new filled straws. Sour Punch candy delivers that perfectly balanced fruity flavor and punch of sour with their iconic mouth-watering coating. Treat your taste buds and punch up the energy anytime you need a boost with Sour Punch. Embrace your punch. For more, www.sourpunch.com.
And if anybody's mouth is watering, it is UT Dallas for this pistol round. You lose it, and you might just be kissing your CECC Main Madness 2025 journey to a close. And it is being bloody outside of B-Main. They took the fight to Cumberland, and they learned the hard way. Coming away with the player advantage, coming away with the site control, and the plant should be soon to follow, unless we get a reflood here off the drone.
We certainly could. One spotted there on the fast lane, but Spike able to get down. And keep in mind that market control. So they have information that most likely they're coming from the CT side. That's going to be peaked just by Shooter, and the rest take care of the job. So it feels like wherever UTD are, they're spotted.
And I'm sorry, UT Dallas, you got to force up, or you're basically giving up. And there it is. The Stinger's coming out in full swing. G2 cosplay incoming, where you got to convert, or you might just be kissing again. This early playoffs run, goodbye. They already defied expectations. They said in the interview they're being underrated. They've got to show us why here and now.
This is it. This is it. And okay. Paper's reconsidering that Stinger of Bye. Says someone's got to hit some headshots this round, right? Light shield action, and that initial engagement may just tell the story of this round. What could eventually be this map. Jay Fowen will make the call for that A push. Fizz is just going to give the information once he sees that piece of utility, and there arrives Salvos just to clear them out, just to delay a little bit longer, push them off that side. Flash able to give way a little bit into the site. Shooter ready to make that first mark with the rifle. And they've got to be wary of the star cover, because that's exactly where UTD could go to make those stingers a little bit more effective, but instead they'll just hold the cross on the site. Ready for this 0 point, as well as the flash of cloudburst, the dash all into the site. They do manage to get in, and Roman doesn't expect them from the other side of the generator. J4 finding 2 with that rifle, and the Stinger's never able to capitalize on that moment.
Yeah, it just felt like a chain reaction system instead of all of them converging at the same time, right? One fell the next one fell the next one. And when you have Stingers, it's not going to work, and not even for a singular kill or trade, right? It's the flawless for Cumberland Phoenix. They get to map in series point here in the first round of playoffs, and mentioned it, that was a force-up, so they're not going to have full rifles this next round for UT Dallas. And I mean, 10 rounds to go for overtime. It's worse than it was over on Lotus. I do like the areas in the judge here. I could see them getting some momentum with it here, you know, but only time will tell.
Listen, UT Dallas, we heard them in the pre-match interview. They knew they would be here, despite going up against a tough competition like Converse and others in their group stage. But how far can they take it? Well, the mountain to climb, but it all has to begin right now for UT Dallas, as they do take over some of the B main and the A main control. They're going about it proactively. They're going about it dangerously, and the danger is found right there in the headshot against Kenrich. So that's the first kill for Cumberland to carve the path. But Shift could turn the tides here. Nice headshot, gets out with 10 HP.
It's so low HP though, and you don't recover the weapons. So now it's still these worst weapons trying to go the distance, and a nice frag found from Roman. But oh, there it is. The frag going south. The retrade comes through, and just like that, Jay Fowen to be good for this plant on the site, and Woody is just being the bodyguard needed.
There's still that judge. It is. You're right. They did not weapon upgrade. It's so hard to just get into tree. And of course the comms are there for the team. Send out the shock bolts, because just a little bit of damage is going to do everything you need. Blindside and fake out available here. You got to make it count right here with the judge. But instead they're taking down Cumberland. Win map number 2, 13-2. They're getting hype over there, and they're moving on to the next round of CECC.